All right, Raiders fans, let's dive deep into the latest developments surrounding our Las Vegas Raiders. After that tough loss to the Houston Texans, there's been a whirlwind of opinions and reactions online, some reasonable, some not so much. First, I want to address the elephant in the room, Pete Carroll. There's been chatter about whether the Raiders should keep him for another season, and honestly, it's a conversation that needs careful thought rather than knee-jerk reactions. Pete Carroll, at 74, continues to coach in the NFL, which is impressive in itself. But the question isn't about his character or his dedication. It's about whether he's the right fit for the Raiders moving forward. Watching the team's performance this season, it's clear that one good game, even one that looks like a breakthrough, shouldn't erase the broader picture. This recent game against Houston, while better than many performances earlier in the year, doesn't change the fact that there have been multiple games filled with mistakes, inconsistencies, and questionable decisions that have kept the Raiders from truly competing at a high level week after week. The offense, led by GENO SMITH, has shown flashes of potential, but the consistency hasn't been there. Against the Texans, GENO finally got a chance to shine with a mix of rushing and passing plays, including a 24-carry, 128-yard rushing game with a touchdown and a long run of 51 yards. On top of that, he contributed with a 60-yard reception for a touchdown. It was, without a doubt, one of his better performances this season, the kind of showing that makes fans excited about his potential. Yet, the underlying issues remain. GENO's decision-making has been inconsistent, and there have been too many moments where risk management on the field was questionable, such as taking unnecessary sacks instead of throwing the ball away. These mistakes can't be ignored, no matter how well he performed in one isolated game. Even if the offensive line played one of its better games, allowing fewer sacks and giving him some space to maneuver, that alone doesn't fix systemic issues. It highlights the need for structural improvements, both in the offensive line and in coaching leadership. Speaking of coaching, the idea of keeping Pete Carroll comes with complications. Carroll has his trusted staff, including Brennan Carroll, and maintaining the current setup might prevent the Raiders from acquiring a truly competent offensive line and a play-calling system that maximizes GENO's abilities. Bringing in a high-quality offensive coordinator or line coach could be difficult if Pete remains, and that's a key reason why sticking with the current leadership could hinder the team's growth. We have to look at the bigger picture here. The Raiders need to evolve, adapt, and build a foundation that allows young talent to thrive. There's no denying the team has some promising pieces on offense. Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Trey Tucker, Jack Bess, and of course Ashton Jenney. These players are capable and talented, and with the right coaching and support, they could be part of a competitive offense. But without changes in leadership and investment in the right areas, that potential might not fully materialize. One of the critical aspects this season has highlighted is the emergence of younger players stepping up due to injuries and opportunities. For example, many of the younger receivers and tight ends have begun to outperform some of the veteran players that were originally prioritized by the coaching staff. The growth of these players demonstrates what could happen if the Raiders committed to a plan of development and consistent playing time for younger talent. It's not just about individual games. It's about building a team culture that fosters growth, accountability, and long-term success. While the offense has shown glimpses of what it could be, it's clear that strategic changes are required. Drafting wisely, spending effectively in the offseason, particularly on the offensive line, and securing competent coaches are all steps that could elevate this team to a competitive level. There's a blueprint already visible. The Raiders have 10 draft picks, young talent that's ready to be molded, and some remaining salary cap flexibility to address key positions. But without decisive moves on coaching and personnel, that blueprint risks being wasted. Looking at the offensive game plan against Houston, the mix of rushing and passing was promising. Jenney ran physical, breaking through tackles and maintaining momentum, while the short and intermediate passing game with Trey Tucker and Jack Bess demonstrated versatility and quick execution. Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, the young tight ends, contributed to stretching the field and keeping defenses honest, while GENO's ability to capitalize on both ground and air attacks showed the potential that exists when the right elements align. These performances give hope, but hope alone doesn't win seasons. The challenge is translating these flashes into consistent, repeatable success. It requires coaching that can adapt, make smart in-game adjustments, and foster a culture of accountability. This isn't a knock on Pete personally, but a recognition that leadership must fit the team's needs, both now and for the future. The defensive side also deserves attention. While they played well against the Texans, there's a sense that it was more reflective of the defensive coordinator's system than Pete Carroll's traditional approach. The Raiders showed resilience and coordination, stepping up in key moments, but again, it was a one-game snapshot. Sustained performance is the true measure, and over the season, there have been gaps that a new approach could address more effectively. The young players on defense, much like on offense, need a system that challenges them, develops them, and maximizes their strengths. Financially and strategically, the Raiders are positioned to make impactful moves. With salary cap space to invest in the offensive line, the ability to target a top quarterback, and draft capital to address multiple positions, the team has a real opportunity to elevate itself. The pieces are there. A mix of talented young skill players, proven veterans who can contribute, and draft flexibility that allows for both immediate upgrades and long-term development. Yet if the organization opts to keep Pete Carroll, it risks maintaining the status quo, limiting the potential of these young players, and missing an opportunity to reshape the team into a more competitive, consistent squad. In summary, while it's tempting to get swept up in the excitement of a single strong performance, it's crucial to evaluate the team over the entire season. Consistency, leadership, strategic investment, and development of young talent are the keys to transforming the Raiders into a true contender. One good game doesn't define the future, and keeping Pete Carroll without addressing the systemic issues could hold the team back. This season has highlighted what works, what doesn't, and where the Raiders need to focus if they truly want to build for long-term success. The foundation is there, the talent is present, and the financial flexibility is available, but decisive action is required. GENO SMITH, despite his moments of brilliance, still demonstrates areas that need improvement. He's shown capability in reading the field, making key plays, and executing when given space and opportunity, but his decision-making remains inconsistent. From taking unnecessary sacks to missing opportunities for quick completions, his approach requires refinement and support. A stronger offensive line, clearer play calling, and coaching that maximizes his strengths could turn him into a much more effective leader on the field. Pairing him with consistent game planning and smart utilization of a young talent around him could make a significant difference in performance outcomes. Similarly, the emergence of Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Trey Tucker, and Jack Best signals that the Raiders have a core of young players capable of contributing at a high level. Their performance against Houston illustrated their potential, and if nurtured properly, they can form the backbone of a competitive offense for years to come. But nurturing talent requires structure, accountability, and the right guidance, all elements that must be addressed if the Raiders hope to move beyond sporadic flashes of success. Every aspect, from offensive scheming to defensive coordination, needs alignment with a long-term vision. Injuries have forced younger players into the spotlight, and while this has yielded encouraging results, the focus should not be on the short-term fix, but on sustainable development. Giving young players meaningful roles, ensuring they have competent coaching, and addressing gaps in the roster through strategic drafting and free agency will determine whether the Raiders evolve into a truly competitive team. The question of keeping Pete Carroll is intertwined with all of this. Retaining him without making significant structural adjustments could hinder the development of young talent and limit the team's overall potential. The Raiders' path forward requires balancing immediate needs with long-term goals. GENO SMITH, while capable, requires support. The offensive line demands reinforcement, and the coaching staff must be equipped to develop players and manage in-game strategy effectively. Investing wisely, drafting intelligently, and committing to a cohesive system are essential. The pieces exist, the financial flexibility is present, and the young talent is emerging, but without change in leadership and strategy, the Raiders risk stagnation. The season has provided lessons in what works and what doesn't, and these insights should inform decisions in the offseason. Moving forward without addressing these core issues, particularly regarding coaching, could prevent the Raiders from reaching their full potential, making it essential to consider alternatives and prioritize long-term competitiveness. The Raiders' offensive and defensive performances against Houston highlighted both promise and the areas requiring urgent attention. GENO SMITH's mobility and playmaking ability, coupled with the contributions of young skill players, show that there is a foundation worth building on. At the same time, systemic weaknesses in decision-making, play calling, and leadership remain evident. Correcting these issues will be essential to ensure that the Raiders transition from sporadic flashes of brilliance to a consistently competitive team capable of contending at the highest level in the coming seasons. All right, let's continue breaking down the Las Vegas Raiders season and the decisions that will define their future. After analyzing the offensive performance against Houston, it's clear that there's talent to build on, but the question of leadership and coaching looms larger than ever. Pete Carroll, while respected and experienced, represents a style and system that may not fully align with the Raiders' needs moving forward. His approach has delivered moments of success, but the inconsistencies throughout the season highlight the challenges of relying on him as the long-term solution. The reality is, one strong performance against a Houston team, or even competitive showings against struggling opponents, shouldn't cloud judgment about the overall trajectory of the franchise. The Raiders need a plan that combines tactical acumen, player development, and a structure that maximizes every talent on the roster. And right now, that plan requires serious evaluation of the coaching staff and decision-makers. On the offensive side, GENO SMITH's performance against Houston is both encouraging and cautionary. He demonstrated his ability to make big plays, whether it was a 128-yard rushing day or a 60-yard touchdown reception, showing versatility that can challenge any defense when given space and protection. Yet, his decision-making throughout the season has been uneven, with moments of questionable judgment that have cost the team critical opportunities. The Raiders cannot rely solely on flashes of brilliance. They need consistent execution week after week, especially against teams that are better prepared or more disciplined. This is why the offensive line, quarterback development, and overall coaching structure are so vital. Investing in the trenches, ensuring competent protection, and pairing GENO with a system that leverages his strengths could transform the offense into a consistent threat. The young players around him, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Trey Tucker, Jack Bess, and Ashton Jenney, are showing real promise. They need a system that allows them to grow, learn, and perform without being held back by inconsistent schemes or decisions. Looking at the broader picture, the Raiders have a real opportunity to reshape the roster and implement strategic moves in the offseason. With multiple draft picks available, cap space to invest wisely, and young talent already proving capable on the field, the pieces exist to create a sustainable foundation for success. The challenge is ensuring that the leadership and coaching staff are aligned with this vision. Keeping Pete Carroll may not provide the necessary flexibility or modern approach needed to cultivate this talent. A new head coach, complemented by an innovative offensive coordinator and a strong line coach, could unlock the full potential of the roster, particularly if paired with smart drafting and off-season acquisitions. It's not about discarding what's good, but rather about creating a structure where talent is maximized, mistakes are minimized, and growth is continuous. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A storm appears to be brewing in Las Vegas as whispers from inside the Raiders' locker room suggest a deepening rift that could shake the team to its core. Sources close to the organization claim that quarterback GENO SMITH has reportedly refused to play alongside a particular teammate, a revelation that has sent shockwaves through the franchise and left fans scrambling for answers. The identity of the player remains shrouded in secrecy, but the mere notion that a starting quarterback would make such a drastic demand has already sparked intense speculation across sports media. Insiders suggest that tensions between Smith and this unnamed teammate have been simmering for months, perhaps fueled by clashing personalities, differing play styles, or off-field disagreements. While the specifics are still unclear, the implications are massive. A quarterback refusing to take the field with a teammate is virtually unheard of in professional football, and the situation raises immediate questions about locker room dynamics, coaching authority, and the Raiders' ability to maintain cohesion as the season progresses. Fans and analysts alike are dissecting every hint and report, wondering how the coaching staff, led by a notoriously hands-on head coach, will navigate this unprecedented challenge. Will the team attempt to mediate behind closed doors? Or could this lead to a trade, suspension, or even a public showdown that could dominate headlines for weeks? Some speculate that this tension may influence play calling, roster decisions, and even the team's reputation among free agents and prospective draft picks. Adding to the drama, social media has erupted with speculation as fans debate potential culprits and motives. Some argue this could be a power struggle over leadership within the locker room, while others point to differing expectations for performance and professionalism. Analysts note that while the Raiders have experienced internal conflicts before, the publicized involvement of a starting quarterback in such a dispute marks an extraordinary moment in the franchise's history. As the situation develops, all eyes will be on Las Vegas, with supporters and skeptics alike wondering whether the Raiders can overcome internal friction or if this episode signals deeper issues that could derail the team's aspirations. In any case, the unfolding saga promises to dominate sports talk, leaving fans anxiously waiting for clarity, resolution, or the next bombshell in what is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing stories of the season. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.